Hello and welcome to the Band of One podcast. This podcast is designed for anyone that wants to start, grow, or polish an existing solo or small group performing career. I've got over 50 years of live performance experience. We'll use not only what I've learned over those years, but also from other hardworking pros in their neck of the woods. The idea here is to make this actionable, entertaining, and provide something that can help you make more money right away. If you like what we do, please subscribe, share it, and consider becoming a sponsor. Let's get underway. In this episode, I wanted to give you some actionable information on the major online casting sites. Booking agencies have changed fundamentally in the last 25 years. When I first moved to Dallas, Texas in July 1996, I simply got out the yellow pages, called up all the agents listed, and let them know what I was about and asked them to book me for work. Two of the agents, Michael Edwin Q. and Bill Cody, have already been profiled in this podcast. And if you haven't listened to those episodes yet, please do so now. About 2009, I became aware of online booking agents Gigmasters and Gig Salad. At the same time, some of the traditional agencies here in Texas didn't see the potential of booking a small act, especially a solo or duo performer. Because I had seen small groups have success back to the 70s and 80s, I knew there was plenty of work bigger agencies were passing on. Truthfully, I didn't blame them. It takes the same amount of work to book a solo performer as it does a trio, quartet, or a bigger group. If the solo act only gets $350 for 4 hours of work, which was still decent pay in the late 90s and 2000s, the booking agent will choose a larger group every time. They simply earn more money. A regional or national online booking agency without a brick-and-mortar building with a good website can book a larger volume of work for smaller commissions. Think of them kind of like a big box store, like a Walmart or Target. The change in agencies also mirrored what was happening for me professionally. I assembled a duo and a trio in the late 90s, and we worked pretty regularly up till about 2010. That's when things began to change, and I began first with a membership to Gigmasters, based in Connecticut. I simply ported over my existing solo act promo package to them, and they began booking me and a duo right away. They took a 5% commission up front, and they provided the client's contact information, as well as help occasionally getting paid if things went south. Gig Salad, based in Springfield, Missouri, became another player I began working with about a year later. Both online sites are competitive. They charge a membership fee, and the top artists of any genre are often on both platforms simultaneously. Gig Salad's business model is slightly different in that they have a 10% booking fee, which you can either cover yourself or ask the client to absorb, as well as paying the artist about 95% of their preferred gig fee. This double dipping has proved annoying to me over the years, but we'll discuss why both sites are probably advantageous for you if you're serious about working regularly. There are some very important things you must have before you enroll with either agency. First is a great picture or pictures. As Rod Stewart points out, every picture tells a story. If a good picture is worth 1,000 words, a great picture is worth 10,000 or perhaps even more. Okay, I might be exaggerating, but a sharp color photo on a web page will help a client right away either connect with you or move to another potential hire. You can use a cell phone or have someone take a picture of you, but I think it might be a better idea to get a professional photographer to do the shots that appear on your web page. A great picture or several great pictures goes a long way in selling any act in show business. Remember the Gilda Radner quote, "It's show business, and you have to show your business." Before hiring a professional photographer or having a friend come take pictures of you, be sure to compare the top quality promo packages by the highest rated performers on both sites. You can type in solo pianist or rock duo in any major metropolitan area on either site and get an idea of what you're competing against. Avoid a busy background and make sure that your main shot, when edited down, is mostly your head and face. This is critical since the thumbnail photo of you, which appears on both sites when compared with other similar artists, needs to be mostly face and head. It simply must stand out and look outstanding. I recommend high-quality color photos, as black and white pictures really lack contrast when compressed on a website. People buy with their eyes, and to some extent their ears. More about that in a moment. Closely akin with photographs or video. Thanks to YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble, and many other sites, you could spend the rest of your life watching music videos online. An HD video done by a professional company could cost upwards of $25,000. While they look spectacular, a great video today may look dated just 4 or 5 years later. You certainly don't need to spend that kind of money for good-looking videos. A recent smartphone in the hands of somebody that knows what they're doing can do an incredible job. Digital SLR cameras can also do incredible work, particularly in the hands of someone who knows how to use it. I don't recommend shooting an entire song in video. Rather, edit short clips of no more than 1.5 minutes and combine them in a video editing software program. Mac users can use the included iMovie for good results, or Pop for Filmora, which is my current favorite and a very cost-effective alternative to the wonderful but high-priced Final Cut Pro. PC users also have a lot to choose from. Do some online research before purchasing any video editing software program. I learned to do my own video editing, and the Filmora program allows me to post online gig videos with a minimum of hassle. I discussed vertical integration and its importance to my act as I've detailed in a prior podcast. I suggest you learn to do the same thing, and unless you get incredibly busy, I suggest keeping those tasks in-house. You can save money for more important matters, and once you've learned to edit video, just like learning to edit audio, it becomes easier to do anytime you get a new video you wish to share. The set list is the next thing we should discuss. I'm still surprised at how many people misspell artists' names and/or song titles on both the Bash and Gig Salad. Going forward, I will use the Bash to refer to what used to be Gig Masters. They changed their name several years ago and never adequately explained to longtime vendors like myself why that happened. Leonard Skinner is one that gets misspelled all the time, and I'm also shocked that many artists don't have the correct titles for songs that they perform. Invest a little time and make sure you have your song correctly named with the correct capitalization in place. Remember that when people look at your online presence, they're making a decision often in 5 seconds or less if you are what they are looking for. Stack the deck in your favor. Some artists will list every song they've ever played, and yet when you get to the gig, they're often unable to perform them. I regularly go through my own show and weed out songs I haven't played in a while or don't really want to continue doing. For a good performer, a song list is organic and changes over the years. In a recent ABC News TV special, they showed Bruce Springsteen before a concert writing a song list out for that night. He makes the effort to not make any two shows the same. He held up a binder with set lists going back for decades. This is one of the reasons why he's so incredibly successful. I played a country club recently for 3 months and made sure to have different songs for every week that I performed there. I alternated between acoustic and electric guitars and picked songs appropriate for each guitar style. Once you have all of this, then you need to think about your actual promo materials. How do you describe your act? If you're just getting going, you won't have a lot of experience to draw from, so you'll have to be creative. This is where you might want to take advantage of a friend or someone on Craigslist or maybe even Fiverr to help you write promo that is engaging for potential buyers. Just like a song list, a promo description can and should be edited and updated regularly. If you know someone that is a writer or an editor, let them have a look at it and request their input. A good thesaurus will help you avoid using the same words over and over. Make it a habit of polishing your promo package just like you polish a pair of fine boots or dress shoes. Once you have good-looking video pictures and promo, the next thing to add would be audio samples. If you're a DJ, this might not be necessary, but for a singer and/or instrumentalist, it's an absolute prerequisite. Again, You don't have to go into a professional studio and spend thousands to come up with an appropriate demo tape. As I've detailed in the past, I have a Zoom H1 recorder that I take a line directly off my PA system and record shows. When I come up with a song that sounds particularly good, I'll edit it down to a minute and a half or so and add it to my web page as well as my online sites with the Bash and Gig Salad. Get 5 to 7 song snippets you can upload so prospects can hear your live product. Audacity is a free program that will allow you to edit even multiple audio tracks on your PC or Mac. I will usually listen back to my gig recordings with a program called Ocean Audio on my Macintosh. I can look at a glance and see if songs that are too loud or too soft, and can also determine if, in fact, it is something I want to add to my audio samples. Because I am comfortable with using Logic Pro, I'll generally do my final audio edits with that, particularly if I'm using this as part of a medley. I would usually fade the beginning and the end of the song in question and use the same approach when creating break tapes. That's a topic for another podcast in itself. If you go to my webpage, guitarmadesimpler.com, I've got audio samples on my solo performer page to help give you an idea of what can be accomplished in-house by one person. Once you have all the ingredients in place, then it's time to go ahead and begin a membership. I would suggest a 6-month or 1-year membership with the Bash to begin with. Once you get experienced using an online booking site and start to get some positive reviews, you might consider adding Gig Salad to the mix. The main reason that I prefer the Bash is that they are more willing to listen to their vendors. Gig Salad has their own way of doing business, and it's pretty much take it or leave it. Also, their business model is costly, and it feels like they're double-dipping on both the client and the performer. Having said all of that, Gig Salad has booked me a lot of work over the years, and while the vast majority of them don't pay as well as jobs on the Bash, I do seem to get a few more leads per month from them. This is subject to change, and hopefully in the future, Gig Salad will do a better job of listening to their performers and fine-tuning things to help them out. I haven't talked much about Gig Heaven or Thumbtack because I really haven't booked enough work from either of them to recommend them. The wonderful thing about Gig Heaven is that it doesn't cost anything to become a member, and they simply put you in touch with interested people. When I got started with them, I received 5 or 6 leads within the first 6 months. After that, it's been crickets for almost 2 years. Thumbtack requires you to pay up front and then contact interested parties about having them book you. I booked up half-dozen gigs with Thumbtack, but they seem to be a lot of bottom feeders. Thumbtack felt a lot like being on Fiverr, which I did for more than a decade with my voiceover business. It's people looking to buy the cheapest product possible. For that reason, I tried Thumbtack for a couple of years and abandoned it, as have most of my colleagues that have worked on these other platforms with great success. I'm sure there will emerge additional online-only booking sites in the future. Many good local agents suffered, as did the musicians during the pandemic, so many of them now simply operate out of their homes. As long as an agent has an effective online presence, there is no reason they can't be as effective as having a traditional brick-and-mortar location with all the attendant expenses. Since the tech boom in the mid-1980s with personal computers, fax machines, the internet, email, texting, and a whole host of other inventions, finding work directly or from another agent has gotten more direct, more responsive, and a whole lot more flexible. Once you're online and start getting people to contact you, the most important thing you can do is reach out immediately. As I pointed out in the first podcast, I grew weary of having to wait for my duo and trio partners to let me know they could play a particular date. As a solo artist, I can let a client know immediately whether I can do the date or not. I will message them through the site first, and with the Bash, email them for more details. Gig Salad doesn't provide an email for the client, so everything has to be done via text, phone call, or messaging from their site. I also like to follow up with a short text message mentioning that I contacted them about such and such a date and ask, what are they looking for? I close with my name and the URL for my web page. At this point, it's in the client's hands. Both sites let you know when a client checked out a bid or communication from you. At this point, if it's been a day or two, I may call them back just to be sure they've checked out what it is that I do. I have a short conversation and ask them, have they seen my videos? If so, I ask if they have any questions. The buyers usually will, while the tire kickers don't. If they haven't seen my videos, I ask them to do so and get back to me at their convenience. At this point, the ball is completely in their court. I won't bug anyone either way about a potential gig. They either want what I do or they don't. I won't waste my time trying to sell them on me. Professional communication is huge. Many clients will let me know how appreciative they were for me to get back to them so quickly. In fact, one of my many badges I've been awarded on the Bash is the Rapid Responder one. All of these sites allow you to receive potential gig offers via text as well as email, and getting back to them quickly is one of my secrets of booking as much work as I have. I also suggest making templates like a basic introduction, need more information, or completed booking so that I can send these off to interested parties immediately. This is faster and better than having to write something off the top of your head every time. One good characteristic of Gig Salad is that you can contact the client without talking money first. Once you've let them know about what you do, you can then submit a bid and request a deposit. Both sides request a potential budget for a client, and sometimes they're filled out and sometimes not. Both sites accept credit cards, and the Bash will collect the deposit up front, allowing me and the client to settle up before or after the show. They also allow the client to prepay the event in full. Gig Salad collects the entire amount up front and then pays you back typically 3 days after the event. As I pointed out in a prior podcast, you absolutely should request a deposit for every gig. One of my guitar students, who's also a DJ, got burned on a recent weekend performance because he never took a deposit. The client canceled on him last minute, and he had opportunities to do something elsewhere which would have paid him more money. Please don't make that mistake. I email, or in Gig Salad's case, message the client a copy of the contract as well as expectations about the event. I let them know approximately what time I'll arrive, what I need in terms of space and electrical power, how long I'll perform before taking a break, and what overtime, if desired, will cost them. Even if the client has paid for the event in advance, I make sure to sign a copy and send it to them as well. I bring the copy of the contract with me to the event to make sure I got the address and contract number correct if the GPS doesn't point me to the exact spot for the event. It's also helpful to know exactly how much to collect for final payment. Since I don't accept credit cards, I tell them the methods of payment I can accept in advance so they're able to take care of that. If you are prepared, there's no reason to worry. I've discussed professionalism in many episodes of the podcast, including this one. It's critical to do this with gigs booked online from one of these third-party vendors because the after-gig review can make the difference between a successful event and a failure you don't want to think about. I booked over 300 jobs on the Bash going back 15 years, and only one of them was a train wreck. The client didn't have working AC where I needed to set up and then complained about me finding appropriate power. Once I began, they fussed and squealed so much about volume that it occurred to me a transistor radio would have been too much. I completed one set, they paid me and asked me to leave. I was only too happy to oblige. It was a retirement facility, and all the people that worked there seemed to be as hard of hearing as the residents. You cannot please every client every time, and so I simply do my best to be sure that I provided my very best show, that I was on time, and conducted myself in a professional manner. This includes language before, during, and after the show. Most of the time, clients really love what I do and are often happy to provide glowing reviews afterwards. I've had almost 200 reviews, only the one of which was negative. I share this to simply let you know if you do a really good job and under-promise but over-deliver, you'll get the same results too. One of the blessings of having an online booking site that has your video, photos, song list, and audio files for a client to listen to is that they're already predisposed to like you. This allows you to simply go out and do your show, and if you sound at least that good, chances are they're not only going to love you, but they'll tip you and provide a great review afterwards. I make it a point to let potential clients know about my reviews and encourage them to read what other people have said about what I was able to do when I performed for them. Once you've been doing this a while, You can get lots of reviews that will help sell your act for you. Maybe the best benefit of an online booking agent is that a good site and good promo will sell your act for you. Once you booked a few gigs online and received a great review or two, this entire process takes on a life of its own. If you continue to own your act, as well as your promotional materials, you can end up becoming wildly successful for each of these online booking sites. It's been a while since I've asked you to do any homework. For today, simply go onto either site and enter in whatever type of act you'd like to know about in your neck of the woods. Look at the individual's promo packages, listen to some audio samples, read some of the reviews, and watch a video or two. This is great intel to use in crafting your own successful music business. That's all for today. I'm Riley Wilson, and you've been listening to the Band of One podcast. If you have ideas for future episodes, you can contact me directly through our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Band of One podcast, or email me at riley@guitarmadesimpler.com. See you next time.